Hey, Brian here from quantlabs.net. Just want to let people know that I've finished off the end-to-end complete analysis on all the Matlab toolboxes that are pretty well available up until a few years ago, pertaining to anything that related around modeling, especially for financial and trading. So I've done a complete analysis on what I think can be showcased with all the Matlab toolboxes. The only difference is I've got two still outstanding, actually three, but more of the toolbox like econometrics, financial, curve fitting, optimizing, and on it goes. I've also shown so many capabilities with the Matlab Coder, the Matlab Builder JE, and the Matlab Builder NE, which is for extending the capabilities of Matlab, being able to code them into either a jar file for Java or for .NET assembly for obviously .NET assembly, .NET applications. Obviously, I'm talking about trading systems. So now that I've got that done, as well as I've got a lot of the mathy kind of stuff done, there's the last piece, which is the crust of what will give all my members a huge leg up over all the traditional traders out there, and that is Simulink. Not only with Simulink, but there's also two components of that world that will give people an edge. Not just Simulink, but also there's Stateflow, which enables you to visually build an event-driven type of process or system where you have a certain state or a set of conditions met. It will raise an event or trigger an event, and it will do something else. And that can all be done visually, and that can all be done within a Simulink model. Now, also on top of that model in Simulink is you can build that visually as well. So you don't have to have a lot of programming skills. I mean, you still have to think like a programmer, or if you can think, you can pretty well think like a programmer, because it's just basically if, else, for loops, like just logical set of rules that you can visually represent in your Simulink. Now, this is very powerful, as you can imagine, because you don't have to know how to code it all, which is, again, very powerful because you can do it all visually. And we're moving into that world now. And the nice thing about this tool, or what do you want to call it, is that you can now extend it out and you build a model. As long as everything you do in that model is compliant within Simulink, you can then export it and convert it, or basically co-generate it, into C++ or C for an embedded system. Now, for trading or financial, that would mean basically the capabilities to be able to drop that into another open source or another trading system. And as long as that system can talk to a DLL or a jar file, you can, or sorry, a DLL or a bin file, if you want to go Linux for whatever reason, you can do that. And not only that, but you can essentially build a self-containing end-to-end automated trading platform using something like Simulink. Now, I'm also not only talking about being able to extend it into something or co-generate it into C or C++, but you can also extend it into something called FPGA. Now, if you are more into more modern types of high-frequency trading or HFT, you'll know about FPGA. Yes, there's CUDA, but CUDA is really meant for backtesting or running simulations. When I say CUDA, I'm also referring to GPU, Graphical Processing Unit Board. So with a Simulink, you can now export into FPGA, which is essentially a board type that enables you, where it's programmable, and that you can build an algorithm or a trading model, co-generate it, no different than the C or C++, but co-generate it into a proprietary programming language, something called like an HDL, what they call hardware description language. And there's two mainstream board manufacturers for FPGA. There's Altera and there's Xilinx. And each manufacturer has their own proprietary language. So there's like HDML, and then there's Verilog. So each one of those manufacturers, Verilog, I get them all mixed up. But the Xilinx will have its own language, as well as the Altera will have its own language. And then there's a whole another set of steps if you want to take your visual trading model, which is really a Simulink model, and then code generate in HDL and synthesize it onto an FPGA board. And there's still a number of steps, but it's easily the fastest way to do it. Has the least amount of maintenance when it comes to it, and that's one of the things. I mean, I like rolling your own solution, but the problem with that is if you run into situations like a fix change in one of your exchanges that you work with, all of a sudden you're going to start pulling your hair out trying to maintain code to keep your system compatible with that exchange. Through this methodology, you're shielding yourself from all that sort of stuff, because now let's say if you go FPGA or if you decide to go with C++, you can get all these different options out there through other vendors to make your life a lot easier. But that's way down the road. What we're focusing on is the trading strategy and the trading model, because everything else is supportive around that trading model. That's your core. That's where you're going to generate your profits from. So what's happening now is now I've got the math stuff out of the way. I'll be focusing on three areas. I haven't mentioned the third one yet, but I've also mentioned Simulink, big one, Stateflow, but there's a third one that a lot of people don't know about, and that's called system identification. Now, imagine this. You have a trading strategy, and something in the market changes. Now, where things will fall apart, and basically the wheels fall off in your trading strategy when you deploy it, is the system might not be smart enough to be able to self-adapt to the market condition of whatever you're following. So what system identification does is, let's say you're watching real-world data through a data feed, like IQ feed, and then let's say the data changes to something else. You can have the system identification automatically self-adapt to another type of model. And you can all do that through the Simulink. And the system identification toolbox enables you to switch to a different type of model. And this also includes neural net. Now, a lot of people go neural net, blah, 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 and I'm the same way. But the cool thing about the neural net is that you're able to literally push a button and see if that type of model will reap you the best potential reward, obviously profit. And you could do that at the push of a button when you do it through these GUIs that the System Identification Toolbox enables you to play with. And I'm going to be showing that to all my members over the next few days, coming weeks. And that is really what's going to make a system, when it comes to trading and trading strategies, really, really intelligent. And I won't say not have human intervention. You have to intervene at some point. But there's two big things that come out of this, actually three. First, with a system identification toolbox, you enable your model or your trading strategy or your whole trading system to be able to self-adapt to whatever model is appropriate to whatever the condition is at that point in time and whatever you're following. Two, with Simulink, you have the capabilities to visually build your trading model or your complete trading system visually, not with any coding at all. I mean, it's to your advantage to know the coding, but if you're just really starting out, Simulink is an amazing tool to really build a trading engine or a trading system from Simulink. Third is probably the hardest part of the whole process, and that is called what we call real-time analytics. When you have your market data or your market feed in real time, basically you could be watching 15, 100 different market assets. How do you program from ground up a system to be able to watch that market and at the same time build code around so that and one of those assets hits a certain state or a certain condition and then trigger an event? That is a very difficult process to build. But guess what? Stateflow enables you to design that very, very easily, and you can also do it again visually. Now, you can drop that into your Simulink model, And then again, remember, you can code generate both your state flow diagram, which is your basically your state flow of all your events and whatever you want, as well as your Simulink visual trading model, and you can generate code from that. Again, C, C++, or your FPGA code HDL. This is what we're going to be focusing on for my trading members. That will give them the edge that they need to get profits and to also make it self-adaptable, and also not just self-adaptable, but most importantly, be able to do it in an automated and systematic way. That's pretty cool. So in coming days, I'm going to show you a little high-level stuff of those demos as I get to them. And this is what we're going to be focusing on from here on out. So think about if you want to join the other side, as I like to call the other side, of the Quant Labs, and check you out hopefully on the premium membership. Talk to you later.